So introduce yourself to the grand jurors. Tell us your name and spell your name for the court reporter, please.
My name is Darren Wilson, D-A-R-R-E-N, last name W-I-L-S-O-N.
I'm thankful that you all could come, part of your busy schedule. I don't know if you all had anything else to do. I'm thankful you can come and hear my story.
Let's talk about your day on August the 9th. What shift did you work?
Day shift.
Tell us how your day began August the 9th.
Oh, August the 9th, it began like any other day.
It's a pretty quiet day initially.
Yes, ma'am. A call came out for a stealing in progress from the local market on West Florissant. I did hear that a suspect was wearing a black shirt and that a box of cigarillos was stolen.
We were talking about future goals and stuff like that, what we were planning on doing. And basically, he was asking me questions on how did I transform to coming from where I was and getting on track, and now I have my own apartment and stuff like that.
So as you're going west on Canfield Drive, what happens?
As I was going west on Canfield, I observed two men in the middle of the street. They are walking along the double yellow line, single file order.
I was just telling them a few things that I went through in my life that made me change, stuff like that.
And just for conversation, I didn't know this then, but the first one's name was Dorian Johnson. The second one was Michael Brown. That was discovered, I think the following day is when I learned the names.
The police cruiser's approaching us.
As I approached them, I stopped a couple feet in front of Johnson. As they're walking towards me, I'm going towards them.
When he got right directly on the side of us, the police officer, Darren Wilson, when he got on the side of us, he rolled his window down and he said, "Get on the sidewalk."
As Johnson came around my driver's side mirror, I said, "Why don't you guys walk on the sidewalk?"
But it wasn't in a polite manner. It was very rudely.
You can say whatever he said.
He said, "Get the F on the sidewalk."
That's the get
Get the fuck on the sidewalk.
He kept walking. As he's walking, he said, "We're almost to our destination." I said, "Well, what's wrong with the sidewalk?" Brown then replied, has vulgar language.
You can say it, say it.
Brown then replied, "Fuck what you have to say."
As I'm telling the police officer, we were just going to get out the street. We were close to our destination. I stayed in Canfield.
When I start looking at Brown, first thing I notice is in his right hand. His hand is full of cigarillos. And that's when it clicked for me.
We continued to walk and have our conversation, but almost a split second, we heard the tires screech.
I then placed my car in reverse and backed up. And I backed up just past him. And then he angled my vehicle, the back of my vehicle, to kind of cut them off, kind of keep them somewhat contained.
If we didn't hear the tires screech, the back of his cruiser would have struck one of us.
I said, "Hey, come here for a minute," to Brown.
The officer pulled back. What did you say? Very loud, angry.
As I'm opening the door, he turns, faces me, looks at me, and says, "What the fuck are you gonna do about it?"
We were so close to the door that it hit mostly Big Mike, but it hit me on my left side.
I then opened my door again, used my door to push him backwards.
But his arm came out the window, and that's the first initial contact that they had.
While I'm doing that, I tell him to get the fuck back.
I remember it was his left arm.
He then grabs my door again, shuts my door. At that time is when I saw him coming into my vehicle.
Came out the window and touched Big Mike around his neck area and his throat.
I had shielded myself in this type of manner and kind of looked away, so I don't remember seeing him come at me. But I was hit right here in the side of the face with a fist.
They're yelling and cussing, and neither one of them can calm down.
And he reaches back and he says, "Hey man, hold these." I'm assuming to Johnson, but I couldn't see Johnson from my line of sight.
But you could tell he was giving Johnson cigarillos.
Yes, I saw them in his hand go around.
My hand's open to where he could put the Rillos in my hand, but I'm still standing in the same spot. I never said anything anymore. I'm just standing in shock.
I tried to hold his right arm and use my left hand to get out and have some type of control and not be trapped in my car anymore. And when I grabbed him, the only way I could describe it is I felt like a 5-year-old holding on to Hulk Hogan.
The officer's trying to pull him inside the vehicle through the window.
So the only other option I thought I had was my gun.
Like he's pulling them,
I drew my gun, I turned.
but he's pulling away.
I said, get back or I'm going to shoot you. He immediately grabs my gun and says, you're too much of a pussy to shoot.
I'm still standing there, more shocked than ever because I see it's escalating.
I felt that another one of those punches in my face could knock me out or worse.
I can see and hear the cuss words.
He's obviously bigger than I was and stronger.
I can see the frowns on their faces getting more intense.
I've already taken 2 to the face, and I didn't think I would. The third one could be fatal if you hit me right.
Every day, I hear different stories about people's different encounters with Ferguson police. Be very mindful of the police around. Whenever you're coming outside the door, people are always giving you a warning. They up the street now, they down the street, something in that manner. Basically keeping you aware of Ferguson police.
All right. So you suffered the injury to your face, and you showed us where the gun was grabbed, and at the time when there is a struggle for the gun. Take us from there.
He grabs my gun and says, you're too much of a pussy to shoot me. The gun goes down into my hip, and at that point, I thought I was getting shot.
They're pulling back and forth. At this time, I heard the officer says, I'll shoot. This was the first time he says, I'll shoot.
I let him use his momentum to push it down, and it was kind of pointed to where the seat buckle would attach on the floorboard on the side of my car.
And when I look up and see the officer has his gun pointed.
When I did get it up to this point, he is still holding on to it.
He has his gun pointed, aimed at Big Mike.
And I pulled the trigger, and nothing happens. It just clicked.
I'm still standing in the doorway.
I pull it again, it just clicked again.
He said, I'll shoot.
At this point, I'm like, why isn't this working? This guy's gonna kill me if he gets a hold of this gun.
He was gonna say it again. I'll shoot.
I pulled it a third time.
And almost, he didn't get to finish his sentence.
Goes off.
Gun went off.
You said you were sure he never touched the gun.
Yes, ma'am. Correct.
He looked up at me and had the most intense, aggressive face. The only way I could describe it, it looks like a demon. That's how angry he looked.
When the first shot went off, we were so close and ringing. I've been shot before, so instantly everything, emotions that I had, like, I've been shot 3 or 4 years ago, so everything is still fresh.
He comes back towards me again with his hands up. At that point, I just went like this. I tried to pull the trigger again. Click, nothing happened.
When I see Big Mike, I see the blood come down where the officer had his right side. I'm on his right side. I see the blood come down.
Without even looking, I just grabbed the top of my gun, the slide, and I racked it. And I put still not looking, just holding my hand up. I pulled the trigger again, it goes off. When I look back after that...
So how many times does it go off in the car?
It went off twice in the car. Pull, click, click, went off, click, went off, so twice in the car.
I was able to run, squat behind the first car.
When I look up after that, I see him start to run, and I see a cloud of dust behind him.
Big Mike ran. He was right behind me.
I then get out of my car. As I'm getting out of the car, I tell dispatch, shots fired, send me more cars.
And he looked directly in my eyes and said, keep running, bro.
There's a light pole right there. I remember him running towards the light pole.
And I watched the officer walk past. He never even looked at me.
He stopped running and he's at that light pole. So when he stopped, I stopped. And then he starts to turn around. I tell him to get on the ground, get on the ground. He turns, and when he looked at me, he made like a grunting, like aggravated sound.
And Big Mike gets past the third car, the final car before the second shot was fired.
He turns it, he's coming back towards me.
He just kind of stopped and turned around at the officer.
He kind of does like a stutter step to start running.
His hands, this one is higher.
When he does that, his left hand goes in a fist and goes to his side. His right one goes under his shirt in his waistband.
He was definitely struck with the first shot.
He starts running at him.
So I could tell he was
I
injured.
keep telling him to get on the ground. He doesn't.
He said, I don't have a gun.
I shoot a series of shots. I don't know how many I shot. I just know I shot it. I know I missed a couple. I don't know how many. But I know I hit him at least once because I saw his body kind of jerk or flinched.
He's hit, but sort of. I don't have a gun.
And again, I tell him, get on the ground, get on the ground. He doesn't.
He was starting to say, you know? He couldn't get the full sentence out before
I shoot another round of shots.
the rest of the shots hit his body.
And I remember his feet coming up. Like he had so much momentum carrying him forward that when he fell, his feet kind of came up a little bit, and then they rested.
He was falling. And I could almost feel the shots because, like I said, I had been shot before. I'm so face to face with him being shot. I'm seeing his eyes blink and all these different it is making me relive the pain of coming through because I've only been shot one time. I can see how many shots this officer is firing. It is sickening to my stomach. I'm almost bursting in tears right there. Threw up a little in my mouth initially. I got it in my head that he dead.
In your mind, him grabbing the gun is what made the difference where you felt you had to use a weapon to stop him?
Yes. Once he was hitting me in the face, that enough was in my mind to authorize the use of force.
This is a real dead person.
Did you guys have a volatile, well, how can I put this? Did you not really get along well with the folks that lived in that apartment? Not you personally. I mean the police in general.
It's an anti-police area for sure.
And when you say anti-police, tell me more.
There's a lot of gangs that reside or associate with that area. There's a lot of violence in that area. There's a lot of gun activity, drug activity. It is just not a very well-liked community. That community doesn't like the police.
Is there anything you want to tell us that we just didn't think to ask, that you think is important? Is information about this case?
Yes. Regardless of everybody's opinion of me. I know a lot of speculation of my past and criminal record that I have or anything like that. That day, I felt like even though the store thing had happened, I didn't feel like someone should have lost their life. I feel like the incident at the car with both Mike Brown and Officer Darren Wilson could have been resolved without deadly force.
This happens in the matter of how many minutes or seconds by the time that you saw them walking down the street until Michael Brown is dead in the street?
I would say less than 1 minute.
Less than 1 minute.
Uh-huh.